Hello, people. Welcome to Untier Talk. It's me, it's HJAD, it's PU.
As always.
It's not a bad tagline. Anyway, uh, there was another tier shift. There's a big another tier shift.
Yeah, they do be happening.
They do be happening like that. There's another one, another 2 weeks pretty much now. Like, woo, that's So we got many things. Some of them I think are gonna fit right in, be like pretty fine, cool, fun to have. You know, Oddno and the Carbink and uh, the Spiritomb, the Trevenant. I don't think they're gonna make huge waves, But we got a lot of mons that look like they're gonna strongly redefine the meta. Even Lycanroc, that I don't even think is gonna be that good. It's like, oh, that's a new big speed priority thing to keep in mind. Like, there's a lot of things that really have pretty unique roles to what we've had. It's exciting.
Just a quick question: what did Lycanroc get that made it so high up in this gen?
Oh, that's a good. Let me see. Lycanroc. I'm gonna check its Smogon analysis, see if it's running anything different. I think it was just generally like it happened to fit in. I got close combat.
What the fuck?
Okay.
No.
Chill.
Why did he get
Chill.
close combat?
Chill the fuck out, dude. Chill the fuck out. Yes.
Panic.
Last gen, that would have been a pretty big deal when it was running Brick Break and Fire Fang to beat like Regirock and Ferroseed. Now it doesn't have to. But now you've got so much like Fisk and Sandaconda and Runerigus and Sableye and I don't know, Body Press Carbink, whatever. I think I'll manage. I don't even think it's going to be that good ultimately. I think it'll be good, but I don't think it's really going to be meta defining. It'll just be another like decent fast thing.
Okay. I hope you're right.
I could look. It's very easy for that to be super wrong. I totally and freely admit that. It also doesn't have the insanely strong special Z move anymore, so it can't like just kill a 70% Tangela or whatever.
Yeah, that would have definitely set me off.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah, there's Lycanroc, a lot of other very strong things. Garbodor. For just the tons of spikes and chip and another option for that. We got Golbat back, super fat. Ninetales and Kanto Rapidash, very strong set of sweepers. Fucking Skuntank, Tangela, Wishy Washy. Dude, Wishy Washy just hydras things. Poliwrath with close combat. It's crazy. Clefairy, everyone's favorite. But the big topic is Drampa.
We had differing opinions on Drampa, didn't we?
Yeah, we did. So when everything dropped, the things that we were most immediately worried about were Silvally Dragon and Drampa. And Silvally Dragon got a unanimous boot. We're not doing Silvallies right now. It's pretty crazy. It's like, this is not the one that we would want to try. Some people push back on that, like, Silvallies are fucking hard, and we don't want to deal with them right now. I don't think it's in any way optimal to deal with them right now. Drampa is different. It's also pretty hard to wall this thing. But
I would say it's basically impossible to wall, to be honest. I wouldn't go.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say that's an overstatement to say that
you're not always reliably stopping this thing from kills. But it's still the kind of mon that I was willing to try for a week in a brand new meta for multiple reasons, and I was honestly genuinely surprised how much pushback that got. It's slow. It has bad typing. It's vulnerable to everything. Specs kills things, but then struggles more with the predictions and hitting some of the fat mons. You got to energy ball the Carbink or whatever. Calm Mind is much better at like breaking, I don't know, Audino or Clefairy, whatever. But then it's not always OHKOing everything. There's a lot of offensive pressure that you can apply to Drampa. And none of that is to say I don't think it's going to be amazing. I don't think there's a great chance that we just ban it in a few days. I was willing to give it a shot, especially since that seems to have been what people wanted to do on several previous mons that are very similar. People are like, oh, we could give an Executor more time or whatever. And I see no real difference in, say, the power of Executor in this meta versus Drampa. Aside from predicting being a little bit harder with its stabs being slightly more awkward. Other than that, like, it's kind of the same thing that people have wanted to try out. So I was surprised that so many people weren't willing to give it a week just to be like, yeah, let's see Drampa. Or like Berserker. People like, we got to give Berserker the shot. I don't know why Drampa's different.
Drampa's probably, you probably argue that, and Drampa's a bit less. I was going to say that potentially Drampa provides the tier with a lot less than Berserker does, but that contradicts the argument. So I think the key with Drampa, I think your viewpoint is like completely valid, that you can just, it's at the end of the day a slow glass cannon so it doesn't really it doesn't like scare me that it's a ridiculously powerful breaker. My problem with Drampa comes more so from it's not the worst. It's not like a traditional glass cannon, like a Specs Glaceon or whatever, where you're not going to have counterplay for it, but it's not going to be switching in on things. And, you know, the thing with Drampa is that it can viably switch in on a fair few things, especially like Tangela, which we should expect to become one of the more...
Tangela is the big thing, absolutely. But aside from Tangela, how much is that Drampa coming in on?
It's just going to come in on a bunch of stuff. I don't think the Specs set is going to be hugely popular just by virtue of you're going to get knocked off a shit ton. And in this tier, knockoff is like really prominent, I want to say. Mm-hmm. So you can't really expect your Specs to constantly be there. That being said, it's still got the power in its dual stab and special attack to just break through whatever, just with Calm Mind or 3 attacks Roost or whatever is floating your boat. But yeah, I think if we kept Dramp for too long, we'd see a warping in a way which wasn't necessarily healthy.
Totally possible.
I would rather deal.
Absolutely
I would rather deal with the meta. Yeah, I would rather deal with a meta where we had loads of fast threats, rather than like the slow breakery things that like Drampa basically facilitates.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that's kind of it for the big new threats. The old stuff we had that was concerning was like Costa and Jinx, and maybe there's still potential for them. Oh, Frostmoth too. Maybe there's still potential for them, but these drops definitely set them all back. So it's like you got to reevaluate, see if there's still even a problem. Yeah. So we'll see.
Yeah. For example, Lipid was a big discussion point as well. But
Lipid, yeah.
Carbink, Clefairy, Garbodor, Persian, Poliwrath, like those are all huge.
Yeah, Skuntank.
Stopped.
Tangela.
Skuntank as well, yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Lipid got set back quite a way.
Yeah, good. Stupid cat. I don't have much more to say about drops. I've not been playing as actively as I should. This is my finals week. So next week I'll really have more time to get back into the meta. But yeah, it just do be like that sometimes. Anything else you might want to add?
Not really. Jagbot and Sableye might be cool. That's it.
Hell yeah.
Oh, and Golbat is going to be an underrated threat. That thing might be broken.
I can't imagine broken. Well, I think that'll be good for sure. It's just like this so
toxic taunt sets.
This so much knockoff. That's gonna be the thing. Like, I don't know. Maybe. I guess I will just say I'm excited. I'm enthused. I think the meta was pretty fun to be checking out last few weeks, and this looks like more fun stuff. I think people were honestly kind of down about how, on SS, like continual. There's been some continual negative, not about like any specific thing people hate, just like AOSS and all that. And how does this not look fun? How do you this these kind of big meta changing drops? I mean, I would have killed for this stuff when I was like more actively just building every day back in like ORAS and whatever. This looks like fun. There's so much weird stuff to mess with. I want to go see what a Rapidash can do. Go ahead. Like, jeez. Maybe it's just me.
Yeah, I was quite happy with the drops. To be honest, there isn't too much in the way of ridiculous, broken, crazy stuff, and we dealt with the main ridiculous, crazy, broken thing. So, yeah, it's fine.
Yeah,
we move.
Yeah, we move on to the previous meta with PUBL Week 2. I'm sorry, PU World Cup, not PUBL. This was a continuation of more interesting weeks. You had a lot of results that one might not have expected. Even though this is my finals week, I took the time to pick out my favorite game of each gen. HJAD didn't do the same thing. He doesn't do anything for this. So we do have some games to go through. I guess we can also hit just overall what happened. We had Brazil, Latin America losing in a close 3-5 to Northeast plus Canada. Northeast plus Canada being like the best team. It's more important to be like, yeah, they came close. They put up a fight. They got HS to beat Soulgazer and SM. That was the big surprise there. I don't really remember how most of their SS games went. I do remember that Specs probably should not have beat Aldo at all. That was a very silly ORAS game. And Specs admitted it. Specs had like a dodge and a freeze and sleep powdered into a Vital Spirit Mon. It was pretty silly.
Yeah, I think the key thing, like, if you look at all of the slots, like, I remember this was 3-3 going into the final day, I think, or like 3-3 going into the final hours, with like Aldo and Pablo still to play, and I was quite confident at the time that at least one would win, but you know, Canada, as the good players that they are, managed to clutch up. And you just look at the depth in each and every player is so hard to beat. So even if you do manage to squeak out a win versus Soulgazer or Lockjaw beating Obi, for example, like those are huge upsets. But you still need another massive upset on top of that, to get even a draw. So that just goes to show that that team is just super strong.
For sure. Also, shout outs to Lockjaw for winning his first PU group tournament game. Team tournament game. Group tournament.
That's been a long time, bro. That's been a long time coming.
Yeah.
He's been playing since ORAS, hasn't he?
Yeah, he has. But, okay, that's enough of that joke. We had UK versus Midwest. Our teams faced off, and y'all got smashed.
Yeah, we got handed a brutal one here.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's not much to say from my end because we just got. I thought our prep was okay. Like we had 50-50 matchups in most slots. I'd say you had a bit better prep than we did, but nothing that we couldn't overcome in the match. And then we just decided, you know what, logic does not prevail, and I hate God. So we just decided, you know what, win paths aren't win paths. Nothing exists, and let's lose the match.
Yeah, I think Confide did better than Osh. Avarice Ham was a travesty of a game. We had that was the one game we had a really good stall matchup. There was no way we ever should have lost that, and Avarice played that as something else, and we almost lost, and that was so wild to spectate the whole time. Kith or Rosie Bear we'll get to later. Yeah, but we won the week. It was 5-1. So we got in two old gens games where neither person was trying that hard. Like you and I just brought fun stuff. Yogi Bag of Tricks just brought fun stuff. It was like a very early victory from us.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Which is why, what's it called? Did I sub anybody in? Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Ted
you
didn't want
subbed
to
in
play Bag
Yogi.
of Tricks.
Yeah, you subbed in Yogi over Teddy to play Bag of Tricks, and Yogi brought Boom Spam, and Bag of Tricks had a meme team with a Pikachu and whatever, and happened to have the soundproof mime. And yeah, I remember that one.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, there were some funky games. Like I said, Ham Avarice, Anti Sergio was one of those not good from both sides games.
Yeah, it was way worse from Anti's side because we felt like, oh shit, Sergio is getting outplayed. Anti should win. Oh wait, he wins. He just needs to. Okay, don't do that. Oh, okay, we've lost now. Fuck. So yeah, Anti decided to sub himself out because yeah, it was not pretty. It was not pretty watching that play.
No, but on the other hand, you had a revealed adamant choice banded Zweilous locked into outrage. We have a Jolly Ursaring that needs its orb activated, and we go into Spadef throw that's at like 70 and just die. And then I think we go into Shiftry and risk the Focus Blast missing. I was like, what are we doing? It was just bizarre. It was just bizarre. I love you, Sergio. It's okay. But yeah, some weird games, some fun games as well. And you guys lost, haha. That's a bit of an upset for sure. Bigger upset, India beating US West 4-3 with a dead game. I don't know why they had to dead game what was happening there. But
wait, that game was a dead game? I thought they'd won already.
No.
What the fuck?
No, 4-3 with a dead game. I don't know what happened. Lax versus Blimax didn't happen. India had two big upsets, I would say, with Thunderbirds beating Zalmog and Raj.Shoot getting pretty lucky to beat Sijaniter. And that was all they needed. They had they won like the pretty much 50-50 DPP game. Serene Grace beat Vivalos Pride in Black White PU in a really close game that came down to hitting like 5 hydro pumps at the end. And also Vivalos Pride choking for that to even be a possible win. But then yeah, that and the dead game has now put India with a win and a tie.
Babas, incredible seeds.
Yeah, the standings for Group A is now Northeast won both. Midwest and India are both have a win and a tie. You've got a win and a loss. West has a win and a loss. I guess Latin America has 2 losses? No, that doesn't sound right. The standings aren't updated here. I can look at week 3. Yeah, here we go. Yeah, Northeast West Canada has 2 wins. Midwest and India a win and a tie. UK is 1-1. No, West and Brazil are both 0-2. Not what I would have expected.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think they're both the stronger teams, essentially the ones that we ended up at top, but it do be like that. Pokemon does happen, and we don't decide tournaments before they've even started. So, yeah, It's unless you are Britain in SMPU, then the tournament doesn't even start because everybody knows you would have won.
Okay, and to be fair to Brazil and Latin America as well, they've had pretty narrow, like 3-5 losses to the 2 highest power ranked teams in the group. So there's still time to come back from the O2 start for sure. West at O2 though, not what I would have expected. Uncharacteristic loss to India. Like I said, Sijaniter definitely got pretty unlucky for Raj to win that. But Zalmog lost. Vivalos Pride kind of threw versus Serene Grace. Ima brought a whack team in DPP. They had a Baton Pass Aqua Ring Huntail. I don't know what that was about, but sure. I don't know, kind of weird. And like their wins were pretty good. TSR not getting hacks. Let's go. He deserves it after the PUPL. LST had a pretty good SM win. TJ had a pretty fun SS win. Like, they're not bad in their wins. It was just some odd losses and then the dead game where you would favor Lax. Like, Blimax had a pretty decent last week, but Lax is still like the person who you would favor there. So
yeah, it's crazy to me to think that if Snyder didn't get hacked, West won the week, but because he did get hacked, India won the week.
Yeah, but
that's just the crazy.
That's why you need. That's why you need ties in
game.
team tours. You can't have 7 games. That it just
exactly. Yeah. You just get swing games like that.
Yeah,
it's essentially a really long tie break.
Yeah, but like it do be like that sometimes, and that it wasn't even like I say hacks because yes, Snyder definitely would have won like neutral luck, but it wasn't even like the craziest biggest steal from Raj or anything. Like actually I think it was the second week that he kind of took a game off like getting mildly lucky for sure, but not like the biggest thing, just like a really small variance victory. 2 times to really help India out. And if they've got momentum and they keep going and they don't even need that, then they're gonna be pretty good contenders. Based on these first couple weeks.
Better than I expected. Yeah. I think we're not talking about a Tasker Kitat level of hacks, so...
Yeah, we're not talking like 5 hurricane dodges. It was like, no, it was like a single gear grind crit and then didn't get scald burned like twice. It was not...
Yeah, it's not something relentlessly unlucky. But yeah, I think India are pulling their weight quite nicely in this tour, to be honest, and all power to them. Hopefully they can make them.
It gives more good close sets for us to watch. Group B went much more how expected. All 3 sets went the way of the team you would favor. Italy beating Africa, Asia, Australia. Still with India. Still with Italy. Their old gens have not been... they've been okay. They've not been amazing. But they went 4-0 in SS. Very strong.
Is that the second time? No.
Yes, they are 8-0 in SS so far. Very strong with two wins with a Larvesta stall team.
Yes. Who won the Larvesta stall? Was it Tricking?
I want to say it was Ryza and Tricking. Yeah, and then Galbia and Lopunny Kicks just had solid like general wins.
That's just so typical, isn't it?
Yeah, just a really fun. I still like... Larvesta is still a bit odd. I guess it's for like Berserker and Clang Clang. I don't know what Frostmoth. I don't know.
You know what the scary part is that if Tricking and Ryza start winning with Larvesta stall, what happens when they start using actual stall, like actually good things?
Yeah.
Like this is what happened in PUPL when I was managing Tricking at least. It was like the final game of the tiebreak, and he pulled the game out of his ass. I don't know how he does it. But
yeah.
There's still baggage left there. There's still some potential, which is crazy to think about.
It's kind of crazy. Yeah. Old gens, they had fairly close losses actually. Like this was close, but Corkscrew had a really narrow loss to Ziri. That's one of the games that I picked up and probably my favorite game of the week. Definitely my favorite game of the week actually, Ziri versus Corkscrew. Hond threw an endgame versus Maple. Lists had like a generic win over TKO. I don't even remember the DPP. DP still just not my thing. Sorry, guys. But yeah, not the worst old gens. Very strong SS from them. And Asia, Africa, Australia didn't look terrible, but getting 4-0 in SS is like ouch.
Yeah, that's brutal. Especially in SS is like a really, I don't want to say variancy meta, but it's quite like it's out there and up to interpretation. Let's say
I wouldn't even necessarily call it as much like there is such a thing as a more variance meta, but I think in this case just like who can jump on the new meta and pick some stuff up, and I don't think it's quite the same thing as variance because it's the people who are getting into this meta and like making it their own. To me, has a slightly different weight of a meta that is just always whack. I don't know if that makes any sense.
I think that's why I didn't want to say variancy because it's not. It's like, it's just different in a way, which is like you have your own interpretation. I have my interpretation. We fight it off, and sometimes you win, sometimes I win. That's just how it works. But you can't go into that meta and be like, okay, well we're gonna try this and hope it works. Like versus Italy, it's gonna be tough, regardless.
Mm-hmm. There was France beating South 5-3. I don't really have a lot to say about this one. Just random wins in different gens. They split SS. France won more old gen. Generally good
Yeah, I think
wins. Some fun games. Two of them are actually in the highlights. The ORAS and the DPP. Just generally fun series. France came out on top.
Yeah, I think the key thing here is that France looks pretty good in the old gens. I'm really liking how Qatar is playing in SM and Pepe in Oras because those two, at the respective times, were some of the top players in those tiers. And then that basically opens up the SS slots for the younger, more, I say, like try-hardy players like Squash and Lamborghini. So I'm liking the how France is shaping up going into a playoffs or going into a like late game season. So yeah, they look really good.
Mm-hmm. I also feel like either Piff or Pink Dragon Tamer actually had a pretty lucky game, but aside from that, um, most of the SS didn't really stick in my head. I think like, oh yeah, that was a decent win from Squash, and that's all I really got. And then Europe, after taking like the I don't know, power rank upset, I guess, because I wouldn't necessarily call it a huge surprise. To Italy, comes back to 6-2 Germany pretty strongly. And one of the losses was when they had already won the week 6-1, and Tony decided for the last game to bring a Sinisty hyper offense versus X Ray. That was really funny. Um, but yeah, a much stronger, more dominant week from Europe. Zugabu, I think, tried to copy the Larvesta stall because I guess he liked it, seeing it in Italy's replays, and got blown up for using it by Drud. Um,
Yeah,
Skipcan and Bobby Dagan had very strong wins versus their respective opponents in SM and ORS. Um,
yeah.
Lilbur had a really
I think
sad loss in Black White because they hate BM.
yeah. I actually a lot of these teams look very strong. I think Germany's one of the weaker teams, but I feel like now Europe will be one of those teams that grow into the tournament. They're like growers, not showers, if that makes any sense.
Yes, thank you, Judd.
But they'll get better with time, and I feel like they'll benefit a lot from the PU experience that does exist. So like Termi and Skipcamp particularly will inject that team with some life, and then they'll flourish more towards the end of the tournament. And I think they look really strong, especially after this week. They look really good.
Mm-hmm. For sure. Yeah, so this is definitely a bit of a different group. You have Italy and France at 2-0, Germany and Asia, Africa, Australia at 0-2, and Europe and South 1-1 in the middle. And I don't know how much I expect either Germany or Asia, Africa, Australia to start putting up like a huge presence and fighting for playoffs. But that makes like the other four teams all the closer to see how they're going to compete against each other.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see who drops out of Italy, Europe, and the other one. What was the other one?
Italy, Europe, France, South.
Yeah, France. So those three in particular, France, Italy, and Europe, they look really good, all three of them. So it's going to be interesting to see who dies, or if many of them die. It's going to be interesting to watch regardless.
For sure. I think real briefly, I pulled up usage stats because sometimes there's something fun. I don't remember much big aside from Frostmoth was kind of a mon that didn't really take off at all until this week, and it actually got a lot more usage. 77.7% win rate really started showing up in SM, and I think it's fun in SS.
A lot of those, were a lot of those quiver dance sets with heavy duty boots, or were they
there was
like spec sets?
There was multiple quiver sets. There was some defensive. Rest Talk, Ice Beam U-turn being a Jinx counter.
Okay, right.
Yeah, just more Frostmoth. I think it's fun to watch.
Gets halved, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. SM was just weird. People had a lot of very different teams this week. So you have like Jellicent, Mudsdale, Victory Bell, and Electros. Between them, the highest win rate is 33%. Yikes. I was really hoping to get a win for Ludicolo, my funny Ludicolo team. But I had the wrong Z move, so I couldn't sweep at the end.
Yeah, I think the your team was pretty cool. I think my team, I was trying to heavily compensate for a poor matchup with the Jellicent, so I was making a lot of assumptions on your team from turn one, which is why I doubled like 3 or 4 times.
Yeah,
Um,
I knew you were gonna just
trying
double
to
around, so I just sitting there with a Yachi Torterra, just having a fun time.
Yeah, yeah, and there I was just saying like, oh, yep, he's staying in, yep, yep, oh shit, yeah, he does run Yachi on these, I remember, yep,
Yeah,
yep,
I
oh
like I
fuck,
like Yachi Torterra. Yeah, that was just like a really fun team I made because I wanted Starry Blanket in our team Discord was like someone should use a Ludicolo with the nickname Ludi Giuliani. I'm like, that's what I'm doing. I'm doing a Ludicolo team. I'm gonna
I
do
actually,
an
I
AV
had two.
Ludicolo team.
I, there's actually a funny story behind this. The teams that I was going to pick versus you, um, there were two teams that I wanted to use. One was a Select Simisear team with Rain Dance, Waterium, Ludicolo as one of the sets on that team. So that was
I
one, and
really,
the
I
other was
really wish I'd run
the
into
Quad
that
Ice.
with AV Ludicolo countering both of those. It's a really funny mon. It knocks everything. The stab is really annoying. It's so funny. The only annoying bit
Yeah,
is you want to fit HP fire, but you can't really do that. And then of course you did end
yeah,
up bringing the Obama Snow that I would have needed it for. Anyway, not much in Horas, Black White, pretty same. Yeah, okay, that's pretty much all I've got for usage stats. Let's talk about some games. For SS, I think there were a lot of very fun games. I don't think any games really stood out as a clear, this was my favorite for SS. This would be the only one. I'll throw it to Kither versus Rosie Bear. I thought it was just generally pretty interesting. This Kither team had the defensive Frostmoth. They had the defensive Frostmoth I talked about with the rest talk stuff, and a Vibrava. Um, because Vibrava's funny. It's like an end defogger type that beats Rhydon and stuff. It's just a funny mon. And the game was decently interesting. Almost managed to throw by trying to taunt a Calm Mind Alchemy, but fortunately managed to trick the thing. Um, Not a crazy game, just generally kind of fun, and I liked the sets we were using, that kind of stuff.
hmm yeah. I feel the Frostmoth really here came into its element, um, just because it could it could switch in quite well on the SL core. And usually when you're using a cell core, it's so that things can't switch in, so that you can keep the offensive momentum going.
Mm.
Um, so Frostmoth, even though in the grand scheme of the game doesn't look like it did much, it basically shut down the entire like idea of the team, which was get Selgor in, put the pressure on with spikes, pivot around with Null into Kanga and Alchemy. So yeah, Kitha did. Well, it was some good team building there to make sure that you could shut down a Selgor.
Yeah, it was different. I think that's part of why we actually saw quite a bit of knock Excelgor getting used. I remember like Obi found a couple of times to get his Excelgor in, and just for the knock utility of knocking off like a Rhydon and a Rotom fan or something. I don't know.
Yeah,
That kind of stuff.
yeah, it's a clever idea.
To use Excelgor that might have helped. But Vibrava turned out to be a very useful defogger as well. Let's go. SM. Yeah, definitely my favorite game of the week. Jiri versus Corkscrew. Jiri has a team I don't recognize, but there's a good chance it's an old team anyway. This Articuno Masharna thingy.
Yeah,
And Corkscrew is a team that looks super generic, and I'm sure I've seen it somewhere, like a chicken offense kind of thing. Um,
yeah.
and
I'm
this
pretty sure I
one,
have the same team, but with Jellison over Pom Pom. I'm pretty sure.
that sounds about right. This one started out pretty bad for Ziri in general. Really got played around a lot trying to double switch and handle the victory bell that he couldn't switch into well because first time Sludge Bomb poisons Articuno and it does 35 and poisons. Like, yikes. Non-lefties Articuno too, I just realized. And then he tries to double on the victory bell and Corkscrew catches that and kills his Silvally Fairy. And it's like a very early, this is a problem. Um, And mostly what happened after that is Yuri just played a really good, really close game around Corkscrew's big threats, switching around the Oricorio and the Scarf Sandslash and the Victory Bell, and using Scarf Lanturn to its fullest potential. Especially there's a very big turn 15, where Ziri goes for Scarf Ice Beam, and Corkscrew taunts Lanturn, thinking it's going to toxic him with the Oricorio. And if he'd roosted there, well, it's like game over for Ziri. But as soon as that Scarf Lantern surprise set did its job and Corkscrew taunted to avoid Toxic instead of roosting, Ziri had like the smallest of ins back into the game, and played really well pivoting around with the Lanturn and the Absol to just eke out a victory. Like, end up sweeping
Yeah,
with getting Volt plays right, end up sweeping with Scarf Lantern's Ice Beam because the Sandslash was chipped enough to die to Ice Beam.
yeah. This game was pretty nutty just because Ziri got manhandled really badly for the first 15 to 20 turns.
Not that, more like 10 turns.
Didn't really,
yeah,
but like there's a lot of things going in favor of Corkscrew, especially in the early game. And you look at the game at a certain point, and it's like, oh, Corkscrew's won this. He's got so much more Pokemon with so much health, right? And Ziri doesn't have anything. He just has a Mudsdale and a Lanturn.
There's no real sweeper, right? There's no you can still bring it back. You've got a Caracosta to blow through his team or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. There's no immediate threat, but the immediate threat ended up being the combination of Scarf Lanturn plus Bandit Absol. So, just managed to blow through the core, really abusing the lack of knockoff resist on Corkscrew's team, which, to be fair, no teams really do in SS. Like, if you have a Mudsdale, that's as much as you can ask for like Absol counterplay.
Yeah.
So it was just a case of Ziri really just manipulating the Mudsdale super well, and then really abusing the Lanturn, like bolting around and stuff.
Mm-hmm. And as much as I'm not a huge fan of Scarf Lanturn, that's the thing it would have had to be for Ziri to have this chance here.
Yeah, I hate Lanturn in general, but if you were to use a Lanturn, Scarf is definitely how I would use it. It's just the least worst of that Pokemon, and because at least you get the defense, sort of half the defensive utility of a Lanturn, but also some offensive going forward stuff.
Yeah, okay. Oras, Man of Many versus Pepe Buche. This was just a fun back and forth. Manny has a team that I assume came from Kyo because it really, really looks similar. Well, okay, Manny was Kyo's manager in PUPL, and this looks very much like a Kyo team, and it looks very familiar. I'm gonna guess, without going back to look at Kyo's teams, that this was just something he used in PUPL.
I'll go with that.
And this started out pretty strong for Manny. A lot of pivoting around with the Electrode, getting a lot of plays right on Volt versus Hidden Power and stuff, but eventually that stopped. Lots of back and forth, funny muck plays, and eventually it comes down to Pepe managing to get rid of Manny's Cacturn to win with a Duosion, to win with a Barrier Duosion. Or is it Acid Armor? I'm pretty sure it's Acid Armor, right?
Acid Armor.
Yeah. And Pepe really did play this well. Manny gets his Cacturn pretty low, and then Pepe actually does like a full pivoting sequence and a Golem sack just to get rocks up. So Cacturn can only come in one more time. And it's kind of forced to come in on the Duosion. Can't heal enough, is going to die to rocks. And Pepe gets it so that it's an end of just Duosion versus just Muck. Which still maybe Manny might have won if the Duosion was not Acid Armor, because I'm not sure if Psyshock, Calm Mind, I don't know, like Signal Beam Duosion, I'm not sure if it'll actually beat a Curse Muck, because Psyshock is weaker.
Oh yeah, no, it does.
Yeah, but it was actually it was the Acid Armor set that he had to remove the Cacturn for, yeah.
Yeah, it was. I generally like Duosion in Oras just because of this like ability to straight up win games. There aren't huge amounts of knockoff as well, so you're not based. You're not hugely useless as well. So generally speaking, I think it was a clever team call, like a fish, I guess. But yeah, Manny actually did really well to not immediately submit to it, because you would be forgiven for thinking, oh, this is a standard car mindset. But yeah, he did well to I guess preserve the cagtan. I don't think they don't run Giga Drain that much, do they? I think they mainly run Energy Ball as well.
I think Giga Drain is not I wouldn't say it's uncommon on Cacturn. I'm not sure what we have as the analysis set, but a Giga Drain is something I generally am not surprised to see from Cacturn. Yeah, analysis set is Giga Drain slashed before Energy Ball.
Oh, I see. Okay. Yeah, I think I just remember I remember seeing more Energy Ball.
Oh no, I'm sorry. That's the NU strategy. It's Energy Ball with no Giga Drain slash. Still, I feel like I see a good amount of Giga Drain because it's a kind of mon that does get low like that an awful lot.
Yeah, especially when you're using Life Orb and stuff. Yeah, it just ended up not going his way.
But yeah, this was a really good this was a really good end game for Pepe. A really close game, well played by Manny as well. And yeah, both teams needed that win. Like that was a 5-3 set, so a game like that. As well as Corkscrew versus Ziri happening in this set as well. Man, Asia, Africa, Australia came really close to matching Italy, but they didn't. Oh no, I'm sorry, Manny Pepe is South France. It's that's just me being very stupid. I always think Pepe is Italian.
Italy.
I always have to remind myself he's French, and I know Pepe is a more French thing, but I always think the deuce is like Il Duce or whatever, and I always think Italian first, and then I have to remind myself he's French.
Okay.
Black White, EV Pablo was just kind of funny. Annoying circle throw miss at the end kind of sealed it a little bit early, but in general, this is one of those like, oh hey, it's some fun sets from both, like enjoyable to watch IMO because Black White is fun and cool. Pablo had Intimidate Stoutland. I think Choice Band, but like Intimidate as the ability to use when I'm almost yeah, it has Scrappy and Black White. Eevee has this offense with a lead sash rocks Rampardos and an interesting nasty plot encore Mr. Mime that actually did quite a bit of work catching Pablo's BHM recovering and getting some more opportunities to throw out moves. They both had spikes because it's Black White. Yeah, like the fun, interesting things to watch. I like Black White at school.
Yeah, this game was really a hazard score. That Pablo did well to stay in. To be honest, like he made it pretty close, and then he missed a circle throw, and you were like, "Fuck."
Yeah.
He probably would have. I wouldn't have been surprised if Pablo won after hitting the circle throw. To be honest, because the mime is so low, and there's nothing really on the team that can 1v1 the throw like that. So
yeah,
it would have come down to throw versus throw. Eevee superpowering it, like getting kills that way. But then the Stout comes back in. It would have been an interesting engagement to witness. And I feel like that's a bit of lost potential happened there.
Yeah, I really wish we could have seen the end. It was interesting. So the mime is paralyzed and practically dead after hazards. If Pablo's throw had like a non-circle throw, non-bulk up move that's not minus priority or whatever, as long as the throw, I don't know, isn't like trying to rest, like sleep talk it out or whatever, it can probably kill the mime there. And then Eevee has to figure out breaking Pablo's throw with what looked like her own choice band throw.
Yeah, it was pretty choice band throw.
Or maybe the Golduck had something funny too. We never really saw the Golduck aside from it hitting Surf and then dying to Pablo's Simipour. Oh no, it didn't die. It hit Surf twice and that was all it did. Yeah. Fun game. I just liked seeing the sets and them going at it, and yay. I gotta be more positive on Black White because people aren't. But
Yeah,
I really do like these old gen games. Like Black White had some good stuff. Oras had some good stuff. Both of them are things people aren't always big fans of, but I promise they're funny.
yeah. Black White. I feel like if you're a certain player, you'll enjoy Black White, and if you're a more, I don't know, contemporary PU player or like a contemporary Pokemon player in general, you'll hate playing Black
I
White.
just
To be
think if
honest,
you don't
because
like
it's
Black
very
White,
hazard
if you
intensive.
don't like Black White, you're just being too serious. It's a funny game. It's a funny game. That's that's my opinion
Yeah,
on
even if
Black
you want to
White.
take it, if you want to take it seriously, there's still like you can still take Black White seriously. I think the difference in Black White is how it's played in comparison to uh, Gen 8 or Gen 7 is so drastically different
Mm.
that most people are just like, yeah, fuck that, I'm not going to do that.
Yeah, probably. For DPP, I'm gonna throw best game to Sky Silver's SFG because I don't really know DP and I don't know if any of the other ones were like better games where other people would have given it to something else. But this was kind of a close, well, not kind of, a very close back and forth between the two players. What looked like some fun teams. A very, very narrow victory for Sky Solo after a weird full para threw him off. To almost lose a close end game. It was Gastrodon and Golbat versus SFG's Relicanth and Blossom. So you kind of have the dynamic of the things beat the things and not the other things. Like a little two on two fight there. Fun stuff. I liked watching it. I couldn't really say how much end game planning or whatever was going on. Um, um, it's not my gen.
Yeah, I think it's just it's this game was I guess to cultivate things. The thing that surprised me most was to be honest, like the teams look quite different in comparison. Like I'm not going to claim to be like a really expert in DPP, but I've played a fair few DPP games in my time, and the teams look different. They don't look like standard DPP teams, and SFG's team especially looks super cool. So yeah, this was a solid game. Came down really close as well. Go back clutching in, coming in clutch.
Yep.
We're going to see an SS soon as well.
Yep. It's finally back. Okay. With that, we can briefly talk about week 3 and what to look at. In Group A, we have the two O2 teams of Brazil and Latin America versus West going up against each other, and this is kind of make or break for what they can do.
Loser goes home.
Yeah, loser goes home. Still gets to have some fun playing out the weeks, but that's about it. You have UK versus India. A win here for India would really solidify them as the second strongest team that team to be taken down, and a loss would still keep them in and let UK sort of climb back in. Both teams kind of need to get something out of this, and then Midwest versus Canada. Northeast Canada still being the strongest team, a loss to them wouldn't be the end for Midwest at all. But it pretty much as much as we can take from Canada, we're looking to get. And I think we can do it.
Already losing though.
Yeah, Brufasa played pretty much immediately and had this muck team that he really wanted to go in. And Haysup had a kind of godlike matchup. And it came down pretty close, but we were pretty happy with how close Brufasa took it because Haysup had like the best possible team for fighting a muck. It was like 4 super hard counters and one thing that does plenty to it, and then one thing that just loses to muck. It was like a very hard game for him to set up. In Group B, you have Asia, Africa, Australia. Can I just call them AAA? Because that'll just confuse me with the other meta. Whatever. They're playing Europe. They kind of need a win here to stay in at all, being already O2, whereas Europe is just looking to like keep beating the lower teams and stay in competition for playoffs. Similar with South and Germany. Like South needs this to stay in. Germany is looking to have any shot. And then Italy, France. The two 2-0 teams in the pool are playing, and they'll both still be in and have good shots at playoffs, no matter if one of them loses or whatever. But this is definitely going to be a very fun series to check out.
Sounds good.
Yeah, it's really surprising to see Italy being the team going into this with the stronger SS. Because France is playing Yandad and Squash, and they've also got Kitut and Pepe. Todao and Deflo have been fine. But Italy, Ado, and SS, really going to be fun to see how France combats that.
100%.
And with that, I think we can throw it over to Gimmick Corner. Really haven't played much this last week. It won't play much this week either. Finals and shit. I guess I'll throw it to Vibrava, which is something that our team used this week that I talked about. Pretty funny mon. Don't know how much it can compete now with tier shifts and whatever, but in the last meta, surprisingly not bad. Ice types aren't uncommon, but as long as you pack those checks, Vibrava doesn't lose to enough of the meta that it really helps. And it was the extra Rhydon stop, because Rhydon, pretty good mon. Pretty scary. I like not dying to it.
Yeah, 100%. It's a good thing. We don't like losing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Is it my turn?
It is your turn.
Okay, sweet. So, first of all, we have to shout out Krabby, because Krabby's a god.
Okay.
It's actually not as weak as people would expect it to be. I think 105 attack.
Oh no, Krabby is strong. It's not good, but it's strong.
Yeah, this is the thing, is that it's a breaker that is different in comparison to most, and plus I feel like a lot of people won't respect the 25 special attack, which is what we're using to power blizzards to annihilate the Tangulas.
Okay.
So Tangela has no shot versus this thing, definitely, because we're not using Ice Beam, we only use Blizzard. Yeah, so Krabby. There was something else that I was looking at earlier the week, which was Mienfu. I think, was that one of the drops from Tundra? I don't remember that.
I'm sorry, Mienfu? What?
Yes, Mienfu.
What do you? No, that wasn't a Tundra thing. What?
I don't remember seeing it ever. So I didn't think that it was a thing until I saw it recently.
No. Mienfu was in Isle of Armor for sure. Yeah, Isle of Armor.
Okay, fine. Nobody realized that Mienfu is broken. And
okay.
Mienfu stays broken. Actually, it's actually a decent pivot, to be fair. And with regen and stuff, it really doesn't care too much for stuff like Garbodor. I expect Slowpoke to become a thing, but that's just a wild prediction. And also, Choice Banded Sandaconda is not as bad as people would expect. Because of Skittersmack especially.
Oh, that actually does help. I was like, what? I was trying to think what coverage Sandaconda has aside from Edgequake, Slidequake, whatever. Oh yeah, it has Edge. What does it get? Body Press, I guess. But that's not great on Band. Fire Fang, I guess it's Ferroseed. It gets Hurricane.
I also, I was about to say Specs Sandaconda is going to be crazy on one of those flip teams. So you just use the
Iron
whatever
Head.
it isn't. You just
I mean, you can use Special Sandaconda. You just run Scorching Sands. Oh, Zen Headbutt.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Okay.
But yeah, Skittersmack hits the Tangela and the Appleton, mainly Appleton. But
yeah, no, that's useful. I mean, it probably does 40 to Tangela max, but whatever.
Yeah.
You're only looking to chip that.
Yeah, if you do need something to use, though, I do implore people to use T-Wave Teleport Slowpoke, because that thing is actually half decent, I swear to God.
I just like watching it. I think it's actually really funny. Even though it's T-Wave Teleport Regenerator stuff, it's Slowpoke. It's never not funny to me.
Yeah.
All right, that just about does it for this week's edition. We will see you with week 3, maybe with a Drampa ban. I have genuinely no idea. We'll just have to live, learn, and find out.